Hey everyone, this is Jake at Whatever, where we literally talk about whatever. I really hope that you've been enjoying the content. If you haven't already, go check out my Mr. Ballin reaction. I'll leave the link in the description down below. And I have a new shorts that are coming out. Not new literal shorts, but the YouTube shorts. It's called the Mechanical Bloke Chronicles. They're just there for laughs. I'll have some up daily, hopefully. And if it makes just one of y'all laugh, then I've done my job. So go check those out if you haven't already. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite 3 hikes and where to locate them and a little bit of history behind them. And I'll include some pictures, obviously, so that way, hopefully I can convince you to go out and do that if you're an outdoors person. And even if you're not, it's just great to look at and just to know about. So without any further ado, let's send it. Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're talking about my top 3 favorite hikes. And as you saw on the slide beforehand, my number 1 hike right now is Wagon Trail in Sedona, Arizona. If you haven't heard of it, it's located just 2 hours south of Flagstaff, 2 hours north of Phoenix. That's right, it's right in the middle. And Sedona is famous for its red rocks. You have Cathedral Rock, and you have the Bell Rock, and you have the Devil's Arch. There's a whole bunch of different famous hikes that people love to take pictures for Instagram or Facebook or just maybe for themselves. And this is the first hike that I did in early 2019 when I first got to Arizona. Now, this isn't rated as a beginner hike. It's about a moderate hike, but I still think it's manageable even for a beginner if you just take your time and do it. It's an 8.2 mile loop, but there's a certain point that I went to called Merry-Go-Round Peak. And that elevation gain for that is around 1,171 feet. From the start of the Huckabee Trailhead is where you would start the Wagon Trail from Schneebly Hill Road. So with that being said, if you are a beginner, you're just trying to build your stamina, then you can take the Cow Pies or the Hangover Trail Loop hikes. Those are a little more level. You don't have to do so much work, and it's still great. The Hangover Trail Loop just kind of goes down to a valley and back around to Cow Pies, and it heads right back down to Huckabee Trail. Now, where I'm talking about Merry-Go-Round Peak, that affords you a great view of the entire mesa right there, and then you can see downtown Sedona. So it's just really beautiful. You can take your little selfies up there. I mean, I did that. I'm guilty of it. It's just a great view, and you can see that in some of these pictures that I'm going to have up. Now, if you're out there and you're just kind of worried about, what to take with you, basically. Some of the essentials, obviously, are going to be water. I mean, you need to hydrate. You need to hydrate probably the night before because Arizona's got a very dry heat, and it's really, really hot. Especially when it's a clear day. Most of the days are pretty clear, and it's a clear day and that sun's just beating down on you, especially in the middle of the summer. You probably should have hydrated the night before. So let me tell you about something about dry heat. You don't even know that you're dehydrated until it's too late. So if you're in a humid heat, if you're like me, you sweat quite a bit. All right, I sweat a lot in humid heat, but in the dry heat, I still sweat, but you're not gonna feel it. Your sweat will evaporate before it even has a chance to run down your arm or anything. So then what happens is salt starts to accumulate on your on your neck and your arms, wherever you sweat, and by then it's already too late. So just make sure you're hydrated the night before, and you're hydrating as you're going on these hikes. Now, if you eat light, if you start like me in the mornings and you eat really light, muesli or oatmeal is probably going to be a good start to a good breakfast to have beforehand. Nothing really heavy, although carbs are essential for your body to produce energy. Too much of it's going to make it really heavy, kind of like pasta, right? Or starches and all that other stuff. Just carbs are just going to be a little too heavy, and you're going to feel a little lethargic starting out, and you're already going to have a bad start to your day. So what I would suggest anyway, you can take it or leave it, muesli or oatmeal. And you can add, blueberries or blackberries to either one of them. But for the muesli is a favorite of mine, honestly, because you can put half of the oats in and some plain yogurt, add a little bit of apple juice. Sounds kind of weird, but it sweetens it up a little bit and it gives it a really good flavor and texture. Mix that up, and then you add the rest of the oats and mix that up. Put the blackberries or blueberries on top, however you want to do it. And then you can add toasted almond slices. And I got to tell you, those oats slowly release their energy as you're hiking, so it never feels too heavy, and you never feel just burnt out from not eating or not eating enough. So that's always a good thing. As far as trail snacks, I would suggest almonds or beef jerky. Not too much beef jerky because of all the stuff they use to preserve it now. And dried fruit's a good one, as well as energy bars, but not chocolate. You know what I mean? Just the kind or whatever just doesn't have very much chocolate in it, but it has oats and almonds and other stuff in there that are going to give you that energy that you need to keep going and feeling good. So there's that. As far as the time of year to go, I would suggest probably mid to the end of October. It just for the simple fact that it's cooler, and in the summertime the nights are just it's horrendous. It's so hot. I mean, I loved Arizona. I mean, I adapted to it and I got used to it, so it wasn't as hot for me as it was for, say, somebody visiting that's never really experienced that kind of heat. But if you're not used to it, if you don't really care for the heat, then I would suggest mid to the end of October, because then it starts cooling down, but yet it's still good enough, and it's not too busy where it's going to be too much foot traffic on some of these trails. So that would be my suggestion. Another time of year, I guess, that would be pretty cool is when it starts to snow. It's almost like as if somebody sifted powdered sugar over the tops of the mesa and the mountains there. So that's a really neat time to go and do these hikes and experience Sedona and Arizona in general, really. Now, a little tidbit of information: some of the restaurants there are on the edge of the mesa almost. They look over to the Cowpies Trail and to the Merry-Go-Round Peak and all around, but that's just one thing I thought was kind of neat that I wanted to put into the video. Is there's a lot of restaurants that can afford you those views while you eat, so you have a great backdrop while you eat. It's whether it's romantic or whether you're just there by yourself, just enjoying nature. So there's that, as well as you can take dogs on trails. I take my dog anytime I go hiking because he needs the exercise for sure. He loves the exercise. He loves being outdoors, but I love furry companions. I love my dog, and it's great to have him there. And if you love dogs too, or you're a nature animal lover, then this is the place for you. All right, moving on to number 2 on today's list, we're talking about the Superstition Mountains, which is also situated in Arizona, just directly east of Mesa. So if you're looking at a map, you have Phoenix, Arizona. Go directly east, you have Mesa, and east of Mesa, now you have the Superstition Mountains. For this one, you're going to start off at the Siphon Draw trailhead, and you're going to go up to Flatiron Peak. Now, there and back, total is about 5.5 miles, and the elevation gain is going to be 2,641 feet, so it's a little bit higher than the elevation gain that you would get over in Sedona. But this hike is a lot more strenuous than Mun's Wagon Trail, so I would highly distract any beginners from trying to participate in this trail. There's a lot of foot traffic. It's a very popular hike, but a lot of people don't really make it to the top. Now, in total, this whole hike takes around 5 hours there and back. So you're gonna have to plan your day around that, unless you start really early in the morning as soon as this trail opens. Now, this affords you some great views of the valley, of the Phoenix Valley, right in that area, right? But there's also there's a really cool history behind the name of Superstition Mountains. And yeah, it's, everything looks great, but I do love the history. I'm a history buff, and I'll show you the pictures as I explain the history of it. So, but it's fun to me, and so I just wanted to share a little bit of it. And this is kind of like the too long didn't read version, so you don't have to do the reading yourself, I guess. The mountain has been called many different names over the years by different cultures. you had Thunder Mountain, and then you had Crooked Top Mountain, and then you also had, I believe, Mountain of Foam. Don't ask me why it's called Mountain of Foam, because I have no clue, to be honest. However, that final name that was coined, Superstition Mountains, was basically coined by the farmers back in the 1860s. The local Indian tribes, the Pima Indians rather, they told these stories of, you know, strange disappearances and sounds and mysterious deaths that happened up in the mountains. So that really kind of paved the way for the name of Superstition Mountains, and the local farmers really took to it. There's also another myth about somebody had a gold mine up there, and they lost all their gold in this mysterious mine. So there's lots of treasure hunters that have gone and they've never been seen again. I'm not trying to distract you. I know you're not going up there to go find treasure. I know you're going there to hike, but the history behind this behind the name of Superstition Mountains and how it came about is really, really cool. As an added bonus for not just the hike in general, but around, there's a really cool not abandoned, but there's an old gold mining town there. It's called Goldfield, and they've transformed it into, you know, a tourist thing. There's a train that goes around the perimeter of this little town you can take your kids on. They do daily duel shootings between these two, you know, duelists. They have workers there that tell you the history, that'll give you the history of each of the little buildings there. So it's really neat to go see. There's also the Superstition Mountain Museum, and if you need to learn any more, or if you want to know any more before or after you go on your hike, I would highly suggest visiting the museum. So that's number 2. All right, everyone, the last one on our list is Stone Mountain Trail in Stone Mountain State Park. I'm gonna have pictures going as I'm talking here just to prove to you how beautiful this place is. Stone Mountain Park is an underrated park in my opinion. It's here in North Carolina, where I reside, and it's just south of the northern border of North Carolina. In case you're wondering, if you're looking at a map, it's just south of that. Just south of there is Sparta, and then just south of Sparta, North Carolina, then you'll see Stone Mountain State Park. Like I said, it's underrated. There's not so much foot traffic here as you'd see in like the Blue Ridge Mountains or the Smokies, which I think is a win-win in my opinion. Not that I don't like people, but just too many people gets crowded, and you know, then it just feels ugh. But All Trails is pretty spot on as far as the time of year to go between April and November. That's a huge time frame, but if you want my opinion, which I'm sure you do, that's why I clicked on this video, I would suggest the end of October, early November, because that's when the leaves change and you get your reds and your oranges and your yellows, and it just looks like the whole mountaintop and mountainside is just on fire. And I'm sure that's what a lot of people like to see. That's why they go to the Smokies and everything. But there's less foot traffic here at Stone Mountain State Park, so you're afforded better opportunities and better views, and just to see what North Carolina has to offer. This trail is actually about 3.4 miles there and back. That's what it's a there and back trail, and you have switchbacks along like the last 3/4 mile of this trail. So if you don't know what a switchback is, it's basically like a set of stairs. So you're switching back and forth to get to the top. So that's basically the definition of a switchback, just in case you were wondering. You can take your furry friends with you, like I like to, my little buddy Kenobi. You have to have a leash, obviously, but there's so little foot traffic. I'm not saying take him off a leash, but there's so little foot traffic that your dog won't get distracted or any of that stuff, unless he likes squirrels like mine does. Then he literally almost pulls my arm out of its socket if I'm not paying attention. But that's neither here nor there. So I know that was kind of a short, simplistic description, but I'm sure you saw all the pictures. And I hope that if you're not really an outdoors person, I hope this kind of gets you on the path towards that if you don't like it. Or even if you just enjoyed the video and just like seeing the pictures just from a distance and you're not really into that kind of thing, well then that's great too. But until the next video, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, comment, or subscribe if you'd like. Let me know how I'm doing and let me know how I can improve. and give me some suggestions on some future videos that you'd like to see, and I will definitely get to them. So until next time, keep sending it.